Hi guys, welcome to Beard's Eye View, and this is going to be my spoiler review for Season 7 of The Clone Wars. Yes, I'm kind of throwing the spoiler warning out there because I'm kind of going to be talking spoilers more or less throughout. It's hard to kind of separate into two halves, so make sure you've checked out the season first before you check out this video because there will be spoilers throughout. Before we begin, don't forget to like and comment down below, subscribe and ring the bell to be notified whenever I do videos. I do them every single Wednesday, so make sure you keep a lookout for those. The final season of Star Wars The Clone Wars, the closure that we were all so anticipated and wanted so much, we finally got, and there was a mixed kind of stuff going on through the season, but I mean overall I was entertained. There were some negative points here and there, but I mean overall I think they kind of stuck the landing as best they could. It's kind of separated into three pieces this season, and I'm kind of going to go through them bit by bit. So let's talk about the first 4 episodes. It's kind of getting you back into Clone Wars, getting you back into the classic characters we know and love, getting you back into the feel of it with just all these Bad Batch clones, getting Echo back, he's all kind of droided up and all that kind of stuff, getting to know Rex a little bit more than we already knew, Anakin and Obi-Wan, a few more things like that, like this brotherly kind of thing, all that stuff kind of just encapsulating the kind of classic Clone Wars that we've come to love, really. And I think that was a good way to start it. You kind of just ease yourself into it because there is quite I think there's 12 episodes in total. So yeah, doing that with all these kind of episodes is definitely the way to go. I like the fact that they kind of did this thing with Obi-Wan where he already knows about Padme and Anakin. It's like people seem to think it's maybe like a bit of a retcon or a bit of a misstep with Revenge of the Sith, but I think it fits quite nicely. Even when he's talking to her about her being the father in Revenge of the Sith, it's like you can just tell by his mannerisms and the way he's talking. He already knows. He wouldn't go there and talk to her if he didn't already know that they're in a relationship, but he's doing the brotherly thing of not telling anyone. And it's the same here when Anakin's trying to hide it from him and trying to have a talk with her privately, and then he just outs it. He goes, I hope he just knows that they've been talking. And I like that. It's just a nice little layer to add on top of the two of them as well, this brotherly thing, so it's even harder when he does turn to the dark side. I also love with Anakin as well is that we all know that Revenge of the Sith, it is a little bit abrupt for him to turn to the dark side, but this Clone Wars, especially this season, has fleshed it out a little bit more, that it wasn't that abrupt. It was a very slow, methodical grooming from the Emperor to turn into the dark side, and that's like evident of when Maul is talking later in the season. It makes complete sense. It's not a case of he's just switched. It's like the Emperor's been slowly grooming him for years and years and years, stuff off camera that we haven't seen. So I like the fact that it kind of fills that gap a little bit, and it kind of cushions the blow. And I know we shouldn't have TV series and movies to kind of cushion the blow or change things to make it make more sense, but I'm still glad that they did. It makes it a bit easier. It also makes it more enjoyable to watch the prequels again. I still enjoy them, but I know a lot of people don't like them, but it does make them more enjoyable. So for anybody that hasn't watched Clone Wars, they need to watch it because it will definitely make the first 3 episodes more enjoyable. But let's talk about the kind of second act, the next few episodes. We get back with Ahsoka Tano. She's down on the lower levels of Coruscant, which I love. I think that was a great idea. We have to reintroduce her. She's an integral part of Clone Wars. She's a big reason of the ending. This kind of last season is all about her and how she fits into the Order 66 and all this kind of stuff. And I like where we went with this character. However, these 4 episodes where she's in the lower levels, they just got a little bit boring. I'll be honest. I was sitting there, and there's a couple of times I was kind of drifting off. It was a little bit late at night when I was watching them, but I was not that kind of engaged. I was engaged with the character of Ahsoka, but the rest of it around it was just like, you could have kind of condensed these 4 episodes into 1 or 2 episodes max. You really could have kind of trimmed the fat and made those episodes better. It involved Kessel and all this kind of stuff and spice running, which I all like as well. It's kind of harking back to Solo and obviously all that kind of stuff. I like that. That's all fine, but I just think it was too stretched out. It was like a tiny bit of butter stretched over bread, and it just wasn't enough. You just need to trim that back and just get rid of the fat and really just kind of focus it down a little bit, and it would have been a better chunk of episodes. So unfortunately, the middle part of this season was just kind of right, let's get on to the last 4 episodes, because this is where it gets so good. They even dropped the kind of cheesy, even though I like it, the cheesy intro to Clone Wars with the title comes up and then the guy talks over the top. Just took that, gone, completely gone. They go with a really serious kind of Lucasfilm title. The Clone Wars come up in red, and it's part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, and it is all about Ahsoka Tano going to that last fight on Mandalore, to do with Darth Maul, the Mandalorians, and it all kind of ties in, and it goes in time with Revenge of the Sith. You even have dialogue at some point of Revenge of the Sith, and it comes completely in line with it. So the fact that we have that, and it's just like, oh, things are going on. I can see at this point when this is happening, I know what's happening elsewhere, when Obi-Wan's and Utapau sorting out Grievous, and Anakin's being groomed by the Chancellor. Just the whole thing, it's happening right now while Ahsoka's sorting out Maul. And I love that. It really made it a lot more special, a lot more integral, and and just knowing that Order 66 is coming, it's happening. You know, you can't stop it, you know it's going to happen, but they delivered it in such a way that even though I know what's going to happen, I was still terrified. I even know that Ahsoka survives. We know that. We know that Rex survives and he takes the chip. We know that. But the way that they wrote it just made it so eerie and just filled with dread, because you're about to witness another section of this Order 66 moment where so many Jedi are killed off and so many bad things happen, with Anakin turning to the dark side and seeing it from Ahsoka's perspective. It was just done brilliantly. I don't know whether any of you guys noticed, but when she talks to I think it was Mace Windu and Yoda and a couple of other guys, a couple of Jedi, it's the same dialogue as I sense a plot to destroy the Jedi and everything. And when Ahsoka comes in to start talking, if you actually line that up with when that happens in Revenge of the Sith, she misses Anakin by about 20 seconds. He talks to them and walks off away from the meeting, and she appears a few seconds later. That extra little bit just like makes my heart sink, because she wants to talk to Anakin. She senses what's going on. Maul's been telling her there's something bad's going to happen. He's integral, and that's the reason he wanted him and Obi-Wan there, but he got Ahsoka instead. Great. The lightsaber fight between Maul and Ahsoka was awesome, especially with the capture and everything of Maul. I really like that. Again, we know Maul survives because he's in Rebels, but again, it was still awesome. Ray Park, the guy that played Maul, did some mocap for it, and you can really tell, like, there's some certain stances and movements, and just like that is so Ray Park. You couldn't duplicate that anywhere else, and I love the fact that they brought him back in for it. That also reminds me as well, the graphics have come so far from season 1 to now. It's just so much more fluid and rich and vibrant and just detailed, and hats off to the developers, because it looks awesome. But Order 66, the moment it kind of happens with Ahsoka and Rex and all the clones on this ship, Maul captured, just the eerie music as well when she's approaching the bridge, and you can just tell, I know what's going to happen. She's surrounded by clones. How does she get out of this? And when the Order 66 comes through to Rex, and you can see him trying to fight it and everything, because he knows something's wrong, and he tries to tell her, find, I think it was Fives or something like that, the one that had the defective chip a few seasons back, and then he just opens fire and they all start, and she gets away through the shaft above, and then he just that heartbreaking moment of Rex hunting her down with all these other clones. It was just awful. And then getting hold of the droids and everything to help her, and just basically get hold of Rex and take the chip up, which does happen, and they're kind of stuck there, and they do get out. But that whole scene, that whole thing was amazing. It really was awesome just to see that heartbreaking moment happen with Rex and Ahsoka, considering how close they are. The Order 66 from another perspective. Just the music over the top was brilliant as well. It was a really good way to do it. That Darth Maul scene, once he's been released by Ahsoka and he's just like being cast as a diversion, basically. That scene through the hallway reminds me so much of Darth Vader's hallway scene in Rogue One. It was brutal and it was awesome, just using all these things, firing them back. He decapitated arms, he took people's heads off, he was absolutely destroying these clones with just all these little parts and everything, and just using it was awesome. That was such a cool scene. The final episode is just action and carnage constantly. It's just Rex and Ahsoka trying to get out of this ship. They can't get out of it. Maul takes the ship. They're being attacked by clones constantly. They're pinned down at some point. It's just them constantly fighting against these clones up and down constantly, and Ahsoka gets clipped a couple of times as well. It's just constant. I mean, even though I know these characters survived, just that it felt so hopeless. Like there was nothing they could do, and even the fact that she wouldn't kill them, she would not kill, because it's just like, it's not their fault. They're being told to do this by a chip. They can't stop doing it. They're being given orders, and it's just, I love that whole thing of it just all falling apart around Ahsoka, everything she saw, and it kind of solidifies why she kind of left the Jedi Order. It's just like there's terrible things going on. It's just, I can't be a part of it. It just fell into like this final moment where the ship crash. They get out on a Y-wing, and the ship crashes onto this planet. The final moments with her with just the hood up and Rex just taking all the stuff on the Y-wing and everything, and then the helmets out in the snow. That whole thing, she just leaves her lightsabers. She's done and she's gone. That, to me, I did really enjoy it because it was very poetic and it just worked very, very well. I would have liked a little bit of dialogue, you know, just a little bit more, because it's like we have so much action going on and constantly, and then when you land and you have this kind of breath of a moment, you know, just this like, thing, just kind of, oh fucking hell, that was insane, and you get that moment, but you don't get any more dialogue between these characters. I felt like I could have had just a little bit more, just a tiny bit, just to kind of round that off. But then they give us a little bit extra at the end as well. So it's obviously after Vader becomes Vader, the stormtroopers are here now, the clones are gone, he's on that planet, the snow's covered it, and he walks up and he finds the clones' helmets and whatnot, and then he finds Ahsoka's lightsaber, and then he walks away, and the last scene we ever see in a Clone Wars is a clone helmet with Ahsoka's war paint on, and seeing Vader in the reflection just walking away. And that was a nice kind of visual to end the season on. It really was a great visual. Just it kind of encapsulates everything that we loved about Clone Wars, and it was a good way to kind of finish it up. Season 7 of Clone Wars was like I say, a mixed bag. There were some good parts, there were some bad parts, but what the last 4 episodes did, they did so well that it definitely boosts it up a couple of points. I know it lagged in the middle, but overall I was really entertained by this season. It did a lot, it did so many things right. I am mainly talking about the last 4 episodes, but even so, it was great. It was a nice final send-off for all these characters that we've known and love, especially Ahsoka Tano as well, and the coming in line with Revenge of the Sith and all the Order 66 stuff is all great. It's all awesome. The Darth Maul stuff was all great as well. I like how they ended all the characters. I would have liked a bit more at the end. Obviously the middle part of the season was a bit meh, so I can't give it full marks, but I still was thoroughly entertained, and I think I'm happy to give it a low 4 stars. So that's what I thought of the final season of Clone Wars. What did you think about it? Let me know down in the comments. Make sure you subscribe and ring that bell. If you want to find me on social media, any of these, all links are in the description, and I'll see you soon.